existence and the generosity of our listeners.
Coventry Classics is a proud sponsor of WRLR. Located at 11427 Commercial Street in Richmond, Coventry Classics provides service and repair for Rolls-Royce and Bentley automobiles, as well as complete restoration and repair of Jaguar XKE, XK, MK, and XJ types. Coventry Classics performs all work in-house using OEM diagnostic equipment and certified Jaguar factory-trained technicians. For more information, their telephone number is 815-862-1110. Their email address is jagrepair@yahoo.com.
Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show, the cutting-edge talk show about legal, political, and current issues. Practicing in both Wisconsin and Illinois, David Mierswa is a leading trial attorney bringing nearly 2 decades of business law, family law, personal injury, and estate planning experience to you. The Dave Mierswa Show, about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. The Dave Mierswa Show, its guests, agents, and WRLR are not rendering any legal advice. All listeners are encouraged to seek legal advice from properly licensed and qualified professionals.
Welcome back to the Dave Mierswa Show. I'm your host, Dave Mierswa. I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. This is the second hour of my 2-hour special, 2015 year in review and 2016 predictions. And I got to thank, again, all the listeners that are listening, all the friends and family with this radio show have been growing every week. I am excited to come back every week. I got more and more passion to come back on the radio every week. So I thank you, all you listeners. One favor I have to ask is if you see my Facebook post out there about a radio, repost it. I also wanted to let you know that all my previous shows are on my website, law540.com, law540.com. That's law540.com. All my shows are on there. Just look for the radio show under there. You'll see a player, and then you see all the different shows. And there's like 6 months there. So go have fun. Listen to some of the shows. You'll see my interview with Dan Jakes there. I talked about, at the beginning of the show, I talked about immigration and a lot of the policies that happen with immigration. I just got done talking about the Veterans Affairs Administration, what happened there, the big scandal. A lot of the veterans that had died from a lack of care. That issue is still ongoing. A lot of the politicians that like to gloss over it, I will not allow them to do that. So, this is just the beginning of my voice. This is just the beginning for your voice. If you heard the beginning of my show, for the people, about the people, and bringing justice to the people, do you think that our veterans have had justice over the last 6 years, 7 years under this administration? I think not. What about this past year in 2015? As everyone was celebrating, everyone seems to forget about all the sacrifices that our veterans and their families have made. Also, the active military out there as well. So, a big thank you to them. So, I got so many topics in review here. I got 2 hours to try to bring you all of these great topics and so forth. I played for you this last week, and I got to say, this is one of the brighter moments with our president. In my opinion, one of the few brightest moments that he's had in the last 7 years. He's had a few winners, not many. He doesn't lead, and he gets in, he does a few video scripts, and then he's out. Then he's on to the next big topic. But before I get into that, last week I played this. It made me laugh. So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, and I'm going to play this. This is one of the funniest things I ever heard in 2015. This is Obama's angry translator. So let me play this for you, and I think you'll find this to be hilarious.
You know, I often joke about tensions between me and the press, but honestly, what they say doesn't bother me. I understand we've got an adversarial system. I'm a mellow sort of guy. And that's why I invited Luther, my anger translator, to join me here tonight. to your lily white butts. In our fast-changing world, traditions like the White House Correspondents' Dinner are important. I mean, really? What is this dinner? And why am I required to come to it? Jim Bush, do you really want to do this? Because despite our differences, we count on the press to shed light on the most important issues of the day. And we can count on Fox News to terrify old white people with some nonsense. Sharia law is coming to Cleveland, run for the damn hills! That was ridiculous. We won't always see eye to eye. Oh, and CNN, thank you so much for the wall-to-wall Ebola coverage. For 2 whole weeks, we were one step away from The Walking Dead. And then y'all got up and just moved on to the next day. That was awesome. Oh, and by the way, just if you haven't noticed, you don't have Ebola. But I still deeply appreciate the work that you do. Y'all remember when I had that big old hole in the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, and then I plugged it? Remember that? Which Obama's Katrina was that one? Was that 19? Or was it 20? Because I can't remember. Protecting our democracy is more important than ever. For example, the Supreme Court ruled that the donor who gave Ted Cruz $6 million was just exercising free speech. Yeah, it's the kind of speech like this. I just wasted $6 million. And it's not just Republicans. Hillary will have to raise huge sums of money too. Oh, yeah. She gonna get that money. She gonna get all the money. Khaleesi is coming to Westeros. So watch out. Whoa! The nonstop focus on billionaire donors creates real problems for our democracy. And that's why we're running for a 3rd term. No, we're not. We're not? No. Who the hell said that? But we do need to stay focused on some big challenges, like climate change. Hey, listen, y'all, if you haven't noticed, California is bone dry. It looked like a trailer for the new Mad Max movie up in there. Y'all think that Bradley Cooper came here because he wants to talk to Chuck Todd? He needed a glass of water. Come on. The science is clear. The science is clear. 9 out of the 10 hottest years ever came in the last decade. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I do know how to count to 10. Rising seas, more violent storms. You got mosquitoes, sweaty people on the train, stinking it up. It's just nasty. I mean, look at what's happening right now. Every serious scientist says we need to act. The Pentagon says it's a national security risk. Miami floods on a sunny day, and instead of doing anything about it, we've got elected officials throwing snowballs in the Senate. Okay, I think I got it, bro. It is crazy. What about our kids? What kind of stupid, short-sighted, irresponsible bull? Whoa! Hey! What? Okay, no, hey! What? All due respect, sir, you don't need an anchor translator. You need counseling. So now I'm out of here, man. I ain't trying to get into all this. Go.
That was excellent. I got to say, hats off to the president for that. He executed that perfectly. So that was pretty cool, I got to say. He did a great job. It was a lighter moment. I understand our president faces a lot of issues, but his track record from leading from behind and doing a quick sound bite and just leaving the issues behind is his pattern. He does that. But I got to say, that was excellent. I played that last week. I loved it so much, I had to play it this week. So that was pretty good. So One of my other radio shows that I concentrated on was women's rights and what's happening globally with women's rights. And there was a young female that was shot in Pakistan in the head by the Taliban. This was in 2012 or 2013, I believe. And her name is Malala. She has been at the UN. She has become a spokesman for education for women and women's rights. And she was shot, I believe, in the head. And I don't know the number of times, but she survived. They flew her to England, where she underwent a lot of surgeries. But guess what? She survived. She's now a beacon. She is a voice. She's a voice out there for young women's rights, Muslim women's rights to become educated. I did 2 or 3 shows on women's rights. I interviewed Christy Allen, who is a leading attorney in Milwaukee, who has helped out a lot of women, also including men, but she talked about what it was like becoming a lawyer in the 70s and all the way through the women's movement in the 70s and in the 80s and 90s. And she's been practicing law for over 35 years. So she's seen a lot of the changes in the law. And I've been practicing almost 20 years. And I'm seeing some good changes. I'm seeing some bad stuff going on out there as well. But I want to play this audio from Malala at the UN and what she has to say about what she went through and the value of human life and also women's rights. So let me cue this up for you.
The words the Taliban never wanted her to hear. Happy 16th birthday, Malala.
Being here with such honorable people is a great moment in my life. And it's an honor for me that today I'm wearing a shawl of Benazir Bhutto Shaheed. I cannot believe how much love people have shown me. Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy, and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. So here I stand. One girl among many. I speak not for myself, but for those without voice can be heard. On the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They shot my friends too. They thought that the bullet would silence us. But they failed. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died. Strength, power, and courage was born. I do not even hate the Talib who shot me. Even if there is a gun in my hand and he stands in front of me, I would not shoot him. Be peaceful and love everyone. We realize the importance of our voice when we are silenced. In the same way, when we were in Swat, the north of Pakistan, we realized the importance of pens and books when we saw the guns. The terrorists are misusing the name of Islam and Pashtun society for their own personal benefits. Islam says it's not only each child's right to get education, rather it's their duty and responsibility. There was a time when women social activists asked men to stand up for their rights, but this time we will do it by ourselves. I'm not telling men to step away from speaking for women's rights. Rather, I'm focusing on women to be independent, to fight for themselves. So today, we call upon the world leaders to change their strategic policies in favor of peace and prosperity. That all the peace deals must protect women's and children's rights. A deal that goes against the rights of women is unacceptable. We call upon all governments to ensure free compulsory education all over the world for every child. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. Our words can change the whole world. We are all together, united for the cause of education. Let us empower ourselves with the weapon of knowledge, and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness. Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. Thank you.
Pretty powerful stuff. She was 16 years old and gave a speech at the UN and talked about her plight, what happened to her, and the Taliban wanted to silence her. They shot her in the head. They shot her in the head and tried to silence her voice. I'm not going to allow anyone to silence her voice. Again, it is my privilege to bring her and her voice to the radio. And all you listeners and your kids out there, it is so important. If you listen to the last part of our speech, which I'll play again, the weapon of knowledge, shield of unity and knowledge. She talks about strength, encouragement, and power. Much more powerful than the gun. Much more powerful than the gun. Books and pens. And she ended her speech with education. I'm going to replay the last 2 minutes of that. I think it's so important for everyone to rehear that. As you go into 2016, let's realign what is important to you. It's not getting the next expensive car. It's not buying the next $1 million house. It's educating yourself starting in 2016. Let's work on your education. Let's work on your children's education. And let's start 2016 off by laying some of the values that you want to reinvent within yourself and also to reinforce with your kids or teach your family and kids. I think we forget about it too much. Let me play the last 2 minutes of this again. It is so powerful.
We call upon all governments to ensure free compulsory education all over the world for every child. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. Our words can change the whole world. We are all together, united for the cause of education. Let us empower ourselves with the weapon of knowledge, and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness. Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. Thank you.
That's pretty powerful stuff. The Taliban thought they were going to silence her by putting a bullet in her head. And what they started was a firestorm. They started a firestorm in a young woman from Pakistan who now has a voice and a platform throughout the world. There is nothing more powerful than a voice talking about education, talking about a pen in a book, and educating people. And there is no other solution than a lot of all these problems going on throughout the world has to be education. A pen in a book and education. And it takes a 16-year-old to remind us of that. But that's okay. I accept that. And it's changed my life. When this radio show has changed my life. I am hoping that it impacts your life. I'm hoping that this show educates your life and your children and changes them for the better. That is the main mission of this radio show, is to have voices like her carry throughout the internet and throughout the waves, that they won't be silenced and they won't be forgotten. That's why I play these so important audio clips. The rest of you, a lot of people went out drinking and partying and all that 2016. It's time to sober up. It's time to sober up your life in 2016 and carry all the values that you talk about. It's time to not only talk the talk, it is time to walk the walk. A lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. It is time to stand up. It is time to walk the walk. It is time for you to start a 2,000-mile journey to make yourself a better individual, to make your family more educated, and go beyond your own little self, to expand your own mind. I know I have reached a lot of listeners out there. This show has changed me and what I focused on in my life. I focus on servicing my clients that need legal needs. I've talked about some of my other cases before. I fight for the little guy who doesn't have a voice. I fight for all the teenagers out there that are just beginning their critical thinking. And someone who wants to silence you, you will not allow them to silence you. You have to be respectful, but it doesn't mean you have to be silenced. There are a lot of teachers out there that will disagree with you, and they will try to silence you. But you be respectful, but you make your voice heard, you make your voice known. And you play, this is all on Google, it's on YouTube. You can play this for your children. This will be posted. I can't beg you enough to start off in 2016 to change people's lives. And that's what I'm dedicated. That's what the show is all about as well. It's about changing lives and educating people and doing what we can as decent human beings to fight back and not allow the narrative to control you. And I've spent on previous shows, I talked about fear. I had fear about coming on the radio, talking about these topics, fighting back. Make no mistake, it is a fight. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. All the things that go on out there. Oh, you may get sued. You have fear about what people think about you. You know, my days of people, what they think about me, I don't care anymore. I gave that up many years ago. It was one of the many bricks I had in my backpack that I put down. I dropped that knapsack of all these pre-notions that I cared about what other people think. I cared about other people's opinion. And now I just storm ahead. Life is a storm sometimes, but we get moments of clarity. And that's what this show is helping you have as well. Moments of clarity. I have to go to break. some of my previous shows I talked about civil rights, and I'm going to be playing a really special audio clip here that really moved me, and I had a special guest in during the time that I played that. So I'm going to go to break. We're going to play some of our sponsors here, and I'm going to be back. You've been listening to the Dave Mierswa Show.
WRLR 98.3 FM.
You have all heard the saying, be prepared in case of emergencies. But